Most leadership conversations today, they focus on speed, they focus on scale, they certainly focus on efficiency. But I wonder, what if the real competitive advantage in business is something we've been taught to suppress? Our own humanity. Today's guest believes that authenticity is not soft, it's not optional, it's not a luxury. She believes it's the new power skill. And she's built one of the most influential cultures in the world by leading with heart.
This is the Champion Forum podcast with Jeff Hancher, the forum for leaders, champions, and dreamers.
Your home, your business, your peace of mind. At Vector Security, we've been protecting what matters most for over 50 years. And whether you're looking to safeguard your family or secure your company, we deliver smart solutions tailored to your specific needs. From advanced security systems and full HD video surveillance to cutting-edge automation that puts the control at your fingertips, Vector Security keeps you connected and protected anytime, anywhere. Don't settle for ordinary. Choose the team that's trusted by thousands of homeowners and businesses across the region. Call 724-968-4179. That's 724-968-4179 and discover how we can help you stay safe, secure, and in control. Vector Security, protection for life.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. My guest today is none other than Claude Silver, the world's first chief heart officer and the number 2 executive at VaynerX, where she partners, of course, with Gary Vaynerchuk to shape culture, leadership, and talent across a global organization. Claude is the author of the book, Be Yourself at Work, the groundbreaking power of showing up, standing out, and leading from the heart. In this work, Claude challenges outdated leadership models that prioritize the perfection over presence and efficiency over humanity. Instead, she offers a practical, human-centered framework for building trust, belonging, and high-performing cultures that are rooted in emotional optimism, emotional bravery, and emotional efficiency. Claude, I am so excited to have this conversation. Welcome to the show. So honored to have you on today.
Thank you, Jeff. That was an incredible, humbling intro you did there. So thank you. I'm very happy to be here.
Well, you have a big responsibility. There's a lot of humans that you have the opportunity to influence. I think your approach and your results speak for themselves. You know, you're proven time and time again that we can lead people well, we can be human-centered, and we can drive business results at the same time. So I applaud your work, and certainly we're going to dive into some of that work. But before we do, dive into some of that content and some of your leadership framework and workplace culture, for those of people that are listening that maybe have been under a rock for the last several years, I'd love to have our listeners get a chance to get to know you a little bit more. You know, you hold one of these very unique executive roles in the business world, Chief Heart Officer at VaynerX. Can you tell us a bit about the journey to get to where you are today? I'm certain they didn't just drop you off where you are. Can you tell us a little bit about that journey?
I can, and the first thing I'll say is the journey has not been a straight road.
Right on.
Many of our journeys, and I always like to start with that because I never want anyone to think like, oh, I did this, I jumped to that lily pad, I jumped to that lily pad, and I landed. I got here just like many of us with a lot of falls, a lot of standing up again, a lot of falls, a lot of going left, going right, and trying to figure it all out. I wanted to be, I knew at a very young age that I wanted to be of service. I didn't know that that's what it was called, of service. But I knew just intuitively that I had a heart to help. And I was around a lot of people, like my parents, my grandmother, my grandparents that had a heart to help as well. So I picked up on that. And I've always been one of those, player, coach, managers, I would say. You know, I love being on the field. I love passing the ball. I love seeing someone else get the win. I love cheering people on, that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I mean, I can't even tell you. I was in the right place at the right time. 1998, San Francisco .com boom, the first one. I was working at a grocery store, and this repetitive customer kept on coming in. And one day he said, "I think you'd be a great digital project manager." And I was like, "What the heck is that?" I mean, 1998, right? I might have had AOL. You know, and the kids don't even know what that is.
No.
Yeah, and that really was the start of being involved in this world of digital, what lives on this computer, really. And I immediately was managing people, and I love that. You know, I really am. I'm so passionate about like watching people meander through their journey and helping people when they come up against a roadblock and whatnot, and helping them work through it. I certainly don't have solutions. I have ideas. One thing led to another, and I landed in this world of advertising agencies, which Vayner is, of course. There was a dot-com bust right after 9/11, and I started a surfing company, an outdoor adventure company in the Bay Area. So imagine me, you know, pushing people on very big surfboards, you know, 275 days a year, wetsuit up to here, you know, down booties and everything. So I had a killer tan, my hands and my face. And I love that. I love that, you know, championing people and watching them bloom, quite frankly. And one thing led to another. I ended up in London with an advertising agency, and I knew who Gary was since about 2009. I'd been following him. And wouldn't you know, my best friend, who was working at Unilever at the time, met him in 2013, and she's like, "I think the two of you need to meet." And we did, and we kind of, you know, realized that we're two sides of the same coin. And I started here at VaynerMedia in New York, May of 2014. And yes, the rest has been history. I mean, it's been a long journey. I work for a phenomenal disruptor, an entrepreneur who is so passionate about the zeitgeist and what's going on. I learn something every single day I'm here, and that keeps me going. I want to be a learner, and I've been here almost 12 years now. So
Wow.
That's really that. And then I'm certainly happy to share how we came to the Chief Heart Officer title, because it is the greatest title in rock and roll. But like I'm speaking to many Chief Heart Officers right now, I believe if you have a heart to help and you know how to create and hold space for another person, and you like that, you like not being the hero, you like making other people's, you're a Chief Heart Officer in my book. So
Sure.
yeah.
I love that, and I love the title of being the first. And back to you referenced Gary as a disruptor. I mean, which is a fantastic word for it. But I would like to hear a little bit about that, because I think, like anything else, something is introduced and it becomes trendy, right? Well, now everybody has a Chief Heart Officer, but you all blazed this trail, and you owned that title and developed it and are mentoring others to do that. How did that come about? Was it an all hands call and we were like, hey, this would be unique and cool, or was there a tension that helped kind of drive the need for this?
Oh yeah, there was a tension for sure.
Yeah.
So when he hired me and I started in 2014, I was like one of the oldest people here. I had the most work experience, and I immediately was running a very large account of people, which I love doing, right? Fostering team dynamics, all of that stuff. And about a year in to my adventure here, it just dawned on me. I lost the love for advertising. Doesn't matter to me if this is cursive, if you say this with red, white, or blue, it doesn't matter, but I love the team that does this. So I went to him and I said, thank you so much. I love it here. You're the best. I no longer want to be in advertising. I don't want to be on the front lines. Now, he and I had a great relationship. So when he said to me, what do you want to do? I said, I only care about the people here. I care about the heartbeat. And he said, I need you to do this job for 18 more months. He doesn't remember me saying, I'll give you 6. I ended up gave him probably about 9 months, and I actually resigned. And that's a big piece of our history because he didn't see it coming. As a very intuitive guy, he didn't really, maybe he didn't believe when I said, like, I don't want to do this anymore. And he'll tell you that as I was resigning to him, he was thinking, all right, what do we do to bring her back in, which is such an honor. 3 months later, we sat down at breakfast and he said, hey, how are you? Great. You're coming back. You're going to be the chief heart officer.
Wow.
And I just knew what that meant because you know who you are. I mean, the title is great, but again, it's the love of what I get to do daily in this culture at a macro and a micro that I love doing. So that's how we came to chief heart officer. I only care about the heartbeat of this place.
Man, if you get the heart right, a lot of things follow, doesn't it? It's so true.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I love it. Thanks for sharing that, the story and the journey. And, you know, it prompts so many questions. But I'm curious, when you look back, what experiences or moments in your journey most shape the way that you lead today? You know, what started to shape how you lead today? Because I would say, you know, not sure when you began in leadership, but I know there was a time in my leadership journey, in an era that I led, that it was kind of with the big stick and I'll thank you Friday by way of a paycheck. Like, what moments began to shape the way that you lead?
Oh, I remember those days too.
Oh my.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. It really started in adolescence. I was the captain of teams that I was on. I was the captain of the tennis team, captain of the soccer team, you know, president of the student council. I sucked at work, at academics. So thank God I had a personality, and thank God people understood that personality was a friendly and warm one.
I can relate.
You know what I mean? Like, it started then, and thankfully I had that, and I had athletics because my confidence as a student was terrible, really terrible. So that's when it started. I went on a 93-day outward bound wilderness leadership program when I was 19. I left college after my second year. It was going nowhere fast, bad decisions, bad drugs, all of the bad boys, you know, all the things. And I told my parents I needed to find the longest wilderness course to get my butt kicked. And, you know, careful what you ask for, because I got it. And I talk about that in the book, in the beginning of the book, which is, Outward Bound Wilderness Leadership Program. I went, I was the only young woman with 9 young men, and, you know, you don't have toilet paper out there. You whatever you pack in, you pack out, and we all carried about 80 pounds on our back. I'm only, 2.5 on a really good day. And, but let me tell you what, because I stayed and didn't leave when I wanted to bail, because I wanted to get what the heck am I doing out here? This sucks. We don't have tents. Like, what, like,
Oh my.
really, I'm paying to like rough
Be
it
abused.
like
Yeah.
it's the best thing I ever did in my life. And 93 days later, I came out a very changed person in terms of much more confidence. I learned what servant leadership is. That's really what Outward Bound is all about, is to become global citizens and to serve. And I was off and running. And so, long way to say, leadership is something that I take very seriously, not too seriously. And my way is really to empower others to take the steering wheel.
I love this because, and I'm sure there's not exact parallels, I know that, but when you were telling that story about that journey, it made me think of my time in basic training as an Army soldier, not knowing anything, pushing my body to muscle failure. But these kind of moments of challenge, they build confidence and they help us really find out who we really are. If you don't mind sharing, I'd love you to maybe tell the story about the leader or the counselor that pulled you off to the side and had a leadership moment with you.
Sure did.
You probably know what I'm talking about. Do you mind sharing that? Because I think it's so powerful.
You know what? It's so powerful because I remember it today, like it was yesterday, and I am not 19 anymore. So, so there I am. It's the first day. We're in the Colorado Rockies. It's late October. It's snowing. It's cold. We're already at about maybe 10,000 feet up, I would say. We're over in Leadville, Colorado, around Breckenridge, for those people that know Colorado. And here we are. We all have this heavy pack on. We have to traverse, I didn't even know what that was, about 1,000 feet to get to wherever it was we were going to have camp that night. And again, no tents, all tarps. So you are with the elements. You know, a tarp isn't going to save you from frostbite or hypothermia, that's for sure. So the guys are all marching up. I mean, that was no problem for them, this 1,000 feet lift. And for me, you know, I had come from some very bad behavior. I had been, you know, doing things, putting things into my system that were not going to get me up that mountain as fast as them. And so I'm sitting there and I'm standing there and I'm crying. And at that elevation, you know, you take a step and you breathe, and you take a step and you breathe. It's high elevation. Plus, I'm so out of shape, and I'm just hating life, and I'm crying, and I want to break my ankle, and I'm hoping to God I trip on this twig or this rock, and they have to get me out of there. And anyway, my instructor, I had a female instructor those first 18 days. You know, this is 1991. So remember, there's no payphone, there's no nothing. I can't even like ESP, like get me out of here. And she comes all the way down, and I have on that you know, that yellow slicker with the baseball cap brim here, crying, hating life. And she looks right at me, this close to me, and she said, well, you can't see it, like, you know, this close to me, and she says, "What is going on in your head?" I said to her, well, you know, I'm singing that Nine Inch Nails song, you know, head like gold, black as your soul. I'd rather die than give you control. Straight face, crying. And she goes, you better get another song in your head.
Yes.
Boom. I was like, you know, you can imagine the things that were going on in my head, just like, really? You're not going to get me out of here? You're not going to save me?
Where's the helicopter already?
Yeah, please. And I will say those 18 days were incredibly, humbling isn't the word. I mean, I ended up getting Giardia. I don't even talk about that in the book. It was like bad. But upon the end of those 18 days, every 18 days you get a resupply, you know, get to use the payphone and get some snail mail. I was like, I'm here. I'm in it. I'm here. And slowly but surely, I did change the song in my head, whatever that meant at the time. It certainly wasn't like, you know, Pharrell's I'm Happy, because I wasn't. So,
you could sing it, though.
yeah, I could sing it. But she, that moment is pivotal in my life. And it was like the wake-up call I didn't know I needed, but I needed.
Man, well, we're all grateful that you went through that. Because it started to shape what was inside. And, you know, when these adversities hit, there's really two options: change your environment or change your perspective. And I'm so glad, even in that milestone moment, that you didn't change environment, but you changed perspective, because we may not have the Claude Silver we have today. So we're all very, very grateful. Thank you for sharing that. I want to go back to the leading with the stick, because this is something that I try to talk about a lot, because, man, leadership's hard. It's challenging. It can be frustrating, and we have legal and punitive authority, and sometimes we use it too much. But now, look, I will say I think we've come a long way. We, the collaborative leadership community. Yeah. But there are still many leaders out there, Claude, I know that you know, that they feel that leading with the heart, it's soft leadership. But you and I, we're in agreement that leading with the heart is effective leadership when it's done well. Was there a moment in your leadership journey, or maybe a mentor or a boss that you have maybe been inspired by, that you realize that leading with the heart, it's not just important, but it's essential to have true leadership impact?
Yeah. So I did have many mentors, I would say, unofficial mentors, who now know that they were my mentors. that had what we call here at Vayner honey empire. They had the heart, they had the warmth, they were friendly, but they were, let's not make any bones about it, we're a business.
Sure.
And so putting those two things together, why I had two female leaders at different points in my life that I worked for directly that were so inspirational because they were rock stars and they were going head to head in an advertising world where usually it's very heavy on white male. They were going head to head as these leaders. And I just really appreciated their style. It wasn't my style necessarily, it's not my style today, but watching how they could have warmth and care for their team, recognize their team, and still be business is what really, I would say, really showed me that there's a place for me. Because as you know, in the book, I talk about how my parents, who I love, would say to me often as an adolescent, you think too much with your heart, Claude. When are you going to think with your head? And I just didn't know what that meant. I really didn't know. I just knew, shoot, something's wrong with me then, right? When I finally came in encounter with these leaders that were both, I thought, warm, not coddling, warm, but businesslike, that's when I said, okay, there is some place in this world for me. Because like I said, I had already been a leader. I knew what that was. But to get to those other upper echelons, past a director into those other places, I realized I needed to absolutely flex my business strategy as well. That is what I would say. You get that once you get past the, listen, I'm here and I want to make this the best experience of your life. And we're going to have a hard conversation now. But it will always come with, listen, I want you to be here. I believe in you. You obviously don't believe in yourself yet, so there's only so much I can do. But, I think there is this community that we found each other, whether or not it's online or through mouth referral, where we all know there's another way to do it without losing your profitability, without losing your success, top, bottom line, whatever is important to you. And it doesn't need to be from the top down.
So good.
In fact, this, I believe, doesn't work. And by the way, with all the Gen Zs and the Gen Alphas coming up, you could kiss that goodbye.
Right on. Right on. I agree. And I you have me sitting here thinking of the leaders that have made the biggest impact on my life. They weren't just tough and they weren't just lovey-dovey soft.
Yeah.
They were both.
Yeah.
They were both. They these big deposits earn you the right to make the big withdrawals. But deposits are the heart side of leadership. Leaders that say, I genuinely want to see you win, but it comes with accountability and boundaries.
Thank you.
And man, I think any good parent that's listening today, this is true. Anytime we have to hold our children accountable or discipline them, they don't say that they hate our guts. And certainly we don't love doing that. But we know if we're going to produce some amazing human beings, this is part of that formula. So I love that you're weaving this tapestry together for leaders to know that this is possible, that we can find the middle between passive and aggressive to be effective. And your book lays this out extremely well. As a matter of fact, you talk about these pillars, 3 pillars specifically in the book that I think cut right to the essence of this. You talk about emotional optimism, you talk about emotional bravery, and you talk about emotional efficiency. For the leader that's listening right now, Claude, who feels all the pressure to perform, how do these pillars tangibly help someone show up in a meaningful way?
Yeah, thank you so much. I myself really find them to be very important and also very easy. Now, I put the word emotional in front of all of that. Why? Well, we're emotional creatures. It does not matter. It doesn't matter if you are leading from up here. You still have emotion, right?
Yeah.
You might chop it off, but you have emotion. The emotional optimism is the belief that things can get better. It's the belief that the sun will shine tomorrow. It is the belief that I have agency and accountability to shape my world, to shape my circumstances, to speak up when I'm afraid to speak up. Only I could really do that. It's the optimism, though, that there's possibility to do that. There is space. I can get some help with it, whatever the case may be. So it's a looking forward. It's very much based in the growth mindset. The bravery is taking action. So let's just use the example of, as a leader, I get some really hardcore feedback from Gary, which I talk about in the book, as a matter of fact. And he's my boss, and I want to show up strong for him, but the feedback floors me. Okay, I need to know that I can feel my feelings. I'm not a failure. I'm sad, but I'm not a sad person. That just sucked and caught me off guard. All right, tomorrow I'm going to get my stuff together. I'm going to be brave, and I'm going to say to him, you know what? That was hard. I'd love it if you have 10 minutes later today that we can just talk through one of those pieces, right? It's action. Bravery is moving forward. This is all about momentum. The faster I do that, the more I do that over and over and over again, that's the efficiency. And what I mean by that is the more I get through my own drama, the faster I get through it, and I can be free. And the more you work that through your team, building resilience through adversity, building resilience through falling down, getting back up. I mean, you know this more than anyone, right? Anyone in the armed services knows this. The more you do that and can count on one another, the faster it goes. All right, so we start to have a shorthand together. Yeah. Imagine Formula One pit crews. Imagine how quickly, they cannot have much drama there when they have 2 seconds to change a tire.
Right.
It can't be thinking that guy gave me a dirty look. You got to sort that out.
Yeah.
That's what it's really all about. It is literally the promise that you, and through support, can change your surroundings, whatever that is. The ability to speak up and be brave, so you're not hiding, and then doing it again and again and again to prove to yourself you have the evidence that you don't need to hang on to drama. You don't need to hang on to those things anymore. You got to listen, speed is one of our biggest KPIs today, right?
Isn't that true?
That's the 3 things. And
I love it. And I feel like they certainly go in order, because as I was digesting these pillars, thinking about optimism, you has to start with mindset. But I think where the leaders get held back the most is in the bravery piece, because that is the action step. And I'm certain there's leaders that lack the confidence to lean into that. But there is this reward on the other side, which is the efficiency. Hopefully that is enough to help us push through the discomfort to get to the efficiency. But I do believe optimism has to come before bravery. But if we're willing to push through that piece of it, which is the discomfort, I don't want to go into Gary V's office and say that was hard. Like, I just want to suck it up because it's Gary V, right? Like, I can't imagine, right? Yeah. But we know that the outcome of this 10-minute, maybe tough follow-up conversation is going to create this emotional efficiency. And I think you nailed it with the word emotional, because at the end of the day, it's not about products and services. You could have the best product and service in the world, but without people and the heart of people, there is no efficiency. So I think the 3 pillars are spot on.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I appreciate that coming from where you have sat and where you sit. Like, thank you so much. And
it's beautiful.
And it's like anything, Jeff, it takes consistency.
Yeah.
You have to be able to rely on yourself. And so that optimism does come with a self-awareness journey.
No doubt.
I definitely don't expect every single person to wake up in the morning and be like, I can do this, right?
Right.
For a number of reasons. But that self-knowledge and understanding who you are, which is a lifelong journey, where the optimism is born. Quite frankly.
This self-awareness piece, I mean, I'm getting a a TED talk right now. Like I am reflecting. When I left the corporate world, Fortune 500 company, and I start out on my own, I carried that corporate polish with me. And I feel like it's still there a little bit. And I'm not saying it's good or bad, but I remember people on my team saying, Jeff, you're overly polished. Like, leave the tie back at the corporate office. Like, you have to be who you are, because that's the whole reason why the podcast launch was successful and all the other things. Like, show up who you really are. And I will say, if I were to, and I mean, I'm going to let the author speak for herself, but if I'm wrapping up your book in a word, I'm wrapping it up in the word authentic. And you make a strong case in the book for not showing up authentically, and that it has, not only should we do it, but it has real consequences if we don't. And I've been a victim of this many times due to imposter syndrome and all the things. But could you talk a little bit about your perspective on this, on what's actually at risk for a person's career, their team, most importantly, their influence and impact when this authenticity is missing,
and their mental health,
and
their wellness, right? I mean,
look, suicide rates among senior leaders are higher today than it's ever been, and I truly think this is a big reason why. There's a lot at risk.
It's that smoke and mirrors, it's this idea that I need to show up and hide myself in order for you to take me seriously, in order for you to see I'm going to crush, in order to get any value. I have to, whether or not I have to shrink, so I make you look bigger and better because you're the boss, or you're going to give me the paycheck or whatever. It's this feeling of, quite frankly, I'm not worthy enough to take up space here. That's what it is. And the detriment that does to yourself through imposter syndrome, through Sunday scaries. I don't want to go to work if I'm feeling like crap, right? But it's hard to identify the fact that, I'm making this happen because I'm shrinking. I'm choosing to hide myself, or I'm in a culture that doesn't accept me, right?
Right.
Now, for you and I, we happen to be more entitled than someone that has a different skin tone than us, right? It is a very different world. People that come in and they feel like they have to code switch or speak in a different way and whatnot. You and I don't have that. However, that doesn't mean that we still don't want to hide parts of ourselves.
No doubt.
Why? Well, I don't want you to get too close, quite frankly, right? That's what people, I don't want you to get too close. No, this is a workspace, right? I don't have emotions.
Yeah.
That's BS.
Right on.
We all have emotions, right?
Yeah.
I mean, our day starts usually 2-3 hours before we even open our laptop or walk into an office. If you have kids, you're dealing with that. If you're working out, you have a dog that just got sick everywhere, like, I don't know, you just got engaged. You have life. And we try to shoehorn life into this thing called work. Right. And that is where I think we got it backwards. So when you choose to shield yourself, protect yourself, not show up as yourself, you are doing everyone a disservice, including yourself. They don't get to know you. You're definitely speaking like some Martian because you ain't showing up as you, right? Yeah. Like, it's so much easier if you choose to just see who you are authentically as a gift.
Right.
As a gift. They hired you. We spent 3 months looking for you. You went through all the rounds of interviews. That's who we want, the Jeff that I see now. Yeah. And you come in the next day in a suit and tie, and you're like, we're like, Jeff, please lose.
Where'd you go?
Like, hey, we work for Gary. He wears a baseball hat every day. Like, so I think the other thing I want to say is, certainly as a leader or as a rising leader, everyone's looking at you. Yes. Who do you want to be?
Yeah.
And how do you want to make them feel? Because we have so much influence. I believe as our job as leaders is to turn other people's lights on, not off. It's to radiate, right? It's to get them from good to great and great to exceptional. It's not to poo-poo them all day. That's right. They do that themselves.
That's freedom. That is freedom. And I will say this, like, I know there's fear, certainly, because the fear is if I show up as my authentic self after all this time, I may not be here anymore. I would say to that leader, congratulations. Because there is something on the other side of that.
Yeah.
But I do know this from personal experience too, Claude, that there are leaders that are probably saying, man, I've been this alter ego for so long. I'm wondering who I really am. If you were to give examples to a leader, like how would you say to this leader, this is probably when you're most authentic and most who you are? Are there those moments that they can discover this?
I got a great one for you. We had someone in one of our international offices who was the leader and chose to be very straight-laced. No emotion, no facial, no nothing. This is the job to be done, yada, da, 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 da. And I would go over there and visit that office. I would hear from people like, we can't connect, we can't connect, we can't connect. And so one day he had me over to his house for dinner. And I walked in that door and I saw his children climbing all over him and him laughing and him being a dad. And that was the watershed moment. The next day I said, you know what? Who you were last night is who these people need. You don't need to let people climb all over you, but show them emotion. Show them like it's okay.
Yeah.
You are not perfect, and they aren't looking for perfect. They're looking to relate. It's relatability. Oh my gosh, you have red blood and I have red blood. Whew, thank God, right?
Yeah.
That's what, and I remember that moment so vividly. I was like, this is the missing piece. His empathy is missing. He's not understanding that once upon a time, he was like that too. He was a junior employee being like, who's my leader? Can I talk to them? Can I tell them I need to go to the dentist at 12? You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Man, that's powerful and so reproducible, replicable. Because if we come off all polished, perfect, all of this stuff, we're giving a false, we're telling maybe other people that are aspiring to get to where we are that it's not even attainable. If I can tell a quick story that I think will encourage the listener, I was, based off my background and so forth, I felt like I always had to be perfect. I couldn't even come in second. I had to fight for everything that I had. I'm never going to cry because crying is weakness. I took that into my marriage. I took that into my parenting. And I remember one day my wife sat me down and she was like, I'm very concerned because our son is now of an age that he's highly influenced by you. And you never show emotion, like you're rub dirt in it, take a lap, don't cry. I said, no, I want him to have emotion. And she said, when's the last time you've ever even cried? And I'm sitting here thinking, Claude, and I'm like, I don't even know. In my adolescence, because I went through some stuff and I just had to be tough. Yeah. And I took that into my corporate world and now everything's unattainable. And I remember the moment my dad passed away in hospice care and it hit me like a ton of bricks. And I remember going home at like 4:00 in the morning from that hospice facility. And I walk into my bedroom and my wife said, how is everything? And I said, Dad passed. And I felt all this emotion. And I said, go get the kids up. And she brought the kids in my bedroom, and I just said, Pappy went to heaven. And I wept.
Yeah.
And it felt so amazing. And I see my son, my daughter was younger, but I see my son looking at me like, I have never seen this before. I could get emotional talking about the moment. Because it allowed me to love my son and my daughter at a different level.
Yeah.
And I know this is family, those that are listening, because we're not saying don't let people climb on you. But what we are saying is when you show up as that person, the level of compassion and the reality of what's possible really starts coming into our leadership impact.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's huge. I think coming from a person like you, who people will look at and be like, this guy's got it going on, right?
Sure.
When we let people in to see that there is very little difference between me and you, except for our lived experience.
Right.
It normalizes the human experience, right? It normalizes the fact that, oh, you have bad days too? Oh, wow, okay. but you know that the sun's going to shine tomorrow. Like, that's what we need. Our leaders, we need to be able to touch them, and they need to be able to reach out and touch us in a very different way, and not with criticism, with connection. That's what we need.
This connection thing is huge, and I do think there are leaders, I'm sure there are leaders listening that see that as soft and I might be taken advantage of. But you talk about this in the book too, about this difference between belonging, and that it's not autopilot. It doesn't just happen. It has to be built. What does it look like for the leader listening to actively build and nurture this belonging so that they don't feel insecure? But we got to create belonging, and it's not soft, weak leadership. How do we build that on our teams, Claude?
We build it just like you just talked about. We build it by saying, literally, I'm human. We build it by literally saying, I don't need you to change your stripes if you are a zebra, or change your spots if you're a cheetah. I want you here. We need everyone we need to emulate the macrocosm. And the macrocosm is filled with all different types of people that speak all different languages, look different, pray differently, all that. We cannot just build a company or build a team that is identical. That is, sure, in your first 50 days, that's going to get you a lot of speed because you all have like minds. But you need to create fertile ground so that people feel safe. I always say psychologically safe, but I also mean physically safe.
Sure.
People need to feel physically safe so that they know that they can express an idea, show up, tell you that they have a therapy appointment, whatever it is, and you're not going to charge, or you're not going to go then have the meeting after the meeting to be like, Steph is really effed up, right? She told me she goes to therapy.
Right.
It is our job as leaders to create true belonging. And the way to do that, I believe, is to be very comfortable showing them, the people that are around us, that we are no different than them. We have and that's why I started this, and I started the book with I was kind of an F up, man.
Right.
I decided to say, whoa, I'm not going down that path.
Me too.
Yeah. And that takes a lot of courage in that, because there's a lot of comfort in self-sabotage. There's a lot of comfort in the pain that you create and you then live in. But there's freedom in this other space. There's freedom when you say, you know what? I'm going to try something different, and I'm going to speak up today. I'm going to say, hey, I have an idea. Hey, I have an idea. Yeah, they might say, hey, Claude, thanks so much. We're going to go this direction. You have to be okay with that.
Sure.
But as leaders, Brene Brown says it best. True belonging doesn't require you to change who you are. It only requires you to be who you are. And it's our job as the ecosystem to embrace you, not change you, embrace you. That
so good.
is what we need to be shouting from the rooftops.
Yeah, I love how you talk about fertile ground. And, these safe environments, both mentally and physically, of course. And you talk about this a little bit, and I love it because it is one of my soapbox items, is these environments aren't built with ice cream socials alone, off-site Top Golf, and I'm here for all those things, right? But you talk about the power in the micro moments. Can you talk about that a little bit, of what is the micro moment that many times is overlooked because we're out here checking boxes? How do these micro moments that leaders can lean into impact trust and culture and all of the things that we need in our organizations, and how do we do that?
Yeah, micro moments is where it's at. That's where culture is built. That's where connection is built. That could be in the hallway, high-fiving someone you go by, in the elevator, being like, don't you go to the same floor as me? Looking behind you and seeing oh, you have an Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine thing in the back. Oh, I have some people that were in the service. Connection is easy. Forget the foosball table and forget the cold brew, and no one cares. Right? But what people care about is how you make them feel. And how you make someone feel happens not in the all hands meetings. It happens after. That's when it happens. And those micro moments cannot be overlooked, right?
Wow.
Think about it. If you have kids or if you have a team, that's when you see, I get chills when I'm sitting here with someone, or I see my kid, one of my children, and they do something. All of a sudden, my 4.5-year-old said the other day, "That's an interesting theory." It's like, what? You said the word theory? You got to be nuts. Like, that's great. Like, so micro is where it's at. It's hello, it's thank you, it's how was your weekend? Hey, I noticed on Instagram you got engaged. I don't even know you, but way to go. You got a puppy.
Customized.
That whole thing, like, it's not hard.
Man, that's so good. Man, Claude, you have me thinking over and over. I mean, we could go all day, but I gotta share this one because it's what you're saying. Thankfully, I'm blessed that I created a life that I could offer my kids things I didn't have, like a trip to Disney World and a trip to Yellowstone National Park and see things and cultures and experiences. My daughter's now a senior in college and she's home over break, and I love having deep conversation with my kids. And her name's Jacqueline. We call her JQ. And I said, you're finishing your senior year. I said, as you look back, on all the moments we've had together as a family, moments that I've had with you as your father, what are some things that stand out to you? I'm thinking she's going to say, Epcot or whatever. She says, Dad, do you remember? She said, I think it was the first or second grade. I stole a piece of bubble gum from my teacher's gum jar on recess, and which was like a catastrophic thing if you know my daughter. But this girl loved gum. And so nobody was around, and she took the gum, and the teacher sees it. And the teacher calls home and tells me. And I remember taking my daughter to her room and talking to her about this behavior, of which she thought there was going to be some serious accountability, but I showed grace in the moment to teach her. She's telling this story when I'm asking her about what are the moments that have made the biggest impact, and it wasn't a trip. It wasn't her first airplane ride. It wasn't seeing a buffalo at Yellowstone. It was this, a micro moment. It might have been a 10-minute moment. And she is now 21 years old talking about this micro moment. Man, what you're saying, Claude, could alter the influence of how leaders make impact, and it's beautiful.
Well, thank you for that story. I love that story. And you made me just think about something with my dad, where he used to give us like bazooka gum back in the day where they had comic strips.
Yes.
He took my brother and me to a rock pile on a Saturday morning to, get out of the house, do something, and we'd have bazooka gum. I'm going to tell him that today.
Yeah. Man,
It
I
is.
love that. It's the little things, isn't it? I feel like I
little
just
things.
called my daughter out for being a thief for the entire world. But here we
I
are
wish
being
I-
vulnerable. So,
Yeah, I want to send her a pack of gum right now.
hey, Claude, when a leader finishes this book, because they all need to read it, Be Yourself at Work. What do you most hope changes about how they lead beyond the book?
Two things, and they're both very tactical, I would say. They're both very like, I want you to pick up your phone and I want you to go ahead and Slack or text 3 people, 5 people that you haven't spoken to in a while. Maybe they're on your team. Maybe they used to be on your team. Maybe they're no longer at the company. Hey, buddy, I'm thinking about you. Happy New Year. Hey, just wanted you to know you crossed my mind today. I hope you're well. That's called connection for no other reason than just sharing the love and being generous with your heart. You don't need anything back. They don't need to even respond. That's the first thing, because talk about micro, that I think encapsulates, okay, I have the courage to do that. I can do that. I can step outside of myself as big man or woman on campus and be like, hey, I thought about you today. Hope you're well. That's it. That's the first thing. That is what I would say. The second thing is not only obviously to listen to your people and actively listen, but really start to share just a little bit of yourself. What kind of ice cream do you like? Start every Monday morning stand-up with, all right, what'd you watch on Netflix? Or do a breathing ritual, or be like, who's given up something this year? Who's gone to the gym 5 times? Whatever it is, consistently though. You got to be consistent. Or like, hey, I decided I'm going to work out 5 times a week, and I need you all to keep me accountable. Team, what else can we do here? Just, small little ways of showing yourself and showing that you too bruise when you get knocked, and you too stand up. That's what I mean. You're not no one here is perfect. And what I always say is, who's the smartest person in the room or on the Zoom? People look around, they're like, I don't know, maybe John is, whatever. It's like, no. The room is. All of us are.
Yeah.
Without John and Betty and whomever, we're nothing.
Man, it's beautiful. And let me say this to the listener. You may be hearing Claude speak and you're saying, yeah, that's so far from who I really am, and that's so far from my style. Well, I got some great news for you. Leadership is learned, which is why you need to get the book. And if maybe you're listening and you say, yeah, I got this on lockdown. Well, look, keep sharpening the axe, because people are counting on us to show up and lead well. Speaking of getting to know people a little bit better, Claude, do you have time for a quick speed round? These are questions I ask pretty quickly, one word, one sentence answers.
Yes, sir.
We didn't prep for this at all,
Nope.
so we're going to get the full vulnerability of Claude Silver here, y'all. So, Claude, a daily practice that helps you stay grounded.
Listening to music on my way to work, listening to pretty much the same types of music over and over and over, which is a lot of trance.
Love it. Love it. Okay. What's something people would be surprised to learn about you?
Oh gosh. I am a fairly goofy person. I'll walk in the house probably today and be like, where are my dogs at? Like, I'm I don't know, I'm silly like that. I love snowboarding. I love snowboarding fast.
Wow, I love it.
Yeah. I would say stuff like, that. I love wakeboarding, like things like that. People would be like, really? You're not going to break if you do that?
Well, when you mentioned surf instructor, I was a little taken back, but now it's all starting to make sense to me. So I love
all
it.
coming together.
I love it. What's a book that changed how you think about leadership or people?
Setting the Table by Danny Meyer, and Unreasonable by Will Guidara here.
Yeah.
These are books that are by restaurant people, but they are about hospitality, and they are about leaving people better than you found them. And those 2 books in particular, among many other books, Brene Brown,
Those are solid. Great, thank you. Here's a good one that may serve a lot of people. You've had a tough day. We all have a tough day at work. Gary's riding you about something. Who knows what it is, right? What helps you reset on a hard day at work?
I had a hard moment the other day, and I did 10 jumping jacks in my office. I have windows all around so everyone can see. Like, I just did 10 I needed to shake the energy. So that's one thing I would say. Calling one of my best friends for sure on my way home, calling my brother. And also, like, on the way home, I'll probably listen to loud music.
Yeah.
Music does a lot for me, but also when I walk in the door and I see my 2 girls, like, I'm done. Nothing else matters.
Yeah.
But I need to shake the energy up sometimes, because I listen a lot and I take in a lot. So those jumping jacks really help me.
Man, I love the energy piece. I've had people tell me that when they're like at their tipping point, they'll get in their bare feet and walk on grass. Mm-hmm. Just this shift, this pivot. I love that one, though. I might do the jumping jacks. I have windows in my office, too. So we're going to see what kind of reaction we can get.
We are.
Oh, Claude, this has been groundbreaking. Certainly a challenging conversation for me, for the listener. I want to just thank you for reminding us that leading with heart, it's not just about lowering your standard. It's about raising humanity. Truly, that's what's happening. And I'm so grateful for your work, the way that you're reshaping cultures. You're reshaping what leadership looks like, quite frankly. Hey, take a moment, maybe for the listener. There's going to be people that want to connect and reach out. Any closing thoughts that you have? Tell us how the audience can stay connected with you, and certainly how to get a copy of that book.
Well, thank you so much. What I will say is, for everyone listening, you too can open up your phone and go text 1, 2, 3 people that you haven't heard from in a while and just reach out, because we forget that people are thinking about us. Even we don't even know who they are, right? And same thing. That's that. Reach out to me, Claude at claudesilver.com. I've got a website, claudesilver.com. LinkedIn, I'm pretty active on. Yeah, hit me up, DM me. I'd love to tell you about the book. You can, what I'm doing right now is a lot of going into companies who are buying like 50, 100 books and doing a lot of just like chatting, which is great. So yeah, hit me up, claudesilver.com, the website, and let me know how I can also be there for you.
Man, and I know you mean it. You find a way to serve people consistently above and beyond all the responsibilities you have. So thank you, Claude. We're grateful for you, grateful for your leadership, and for reminding us that success without humanity, it's pretty hollow. So to our listeners, if I can take a moment and challenge you, man, just sit back maybe at the end of this episode and ask yourself a couple things. Where am I showing up guarded, maybe, when maybe I need to be a little more grounded? Where am I managing people too much when maybe I should be leading them with my heart? The work doesn't start with the titles that we're given. It starts with a choice. And when we make that choice consistently to lead people with our heart, we begin turning that pressure into potential.
The Champion Forum podcast with Jeff Hancher. Lead, inspire, win.